one of Charlie's passions was economics. People I don't think always associate Charlie with economics, but the way he got into politics was studying the Austrian schools, studying Milton Friedman. He got really passionate about these macroeconomic trends. He got really passionate about the debt and the currency valuations and things like this. And so you are one of the guys that goes out into the media and talks about what the good work that Treasury is doing. And we were talking in the break about, how this economy is doing. Is it doing well? Is it a mixed bag? I think it's doing mostly well. I mean, the animal spirits are alive and well in this country. So maybe just start there and give us that 30,000-foot view of how you see things going, how Treasury is viewing things in this current moment.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. The data are as good as they could be. I mean, they're actually very good, thanks to President Trump. So in the second quarter, his first full quarter in office, we grew 3.8%. If you take the federal side out, we actually grew 4.5%. So the real GDP, excluding the federal government, grew at 4.5%. Wow. And in the third quarter, the latest estimate from the Atlanta Fed, which a lot of people look at, is at 3.8%, with also a very similar profile of the growth being led by the private sector, consumers, and also capital spending, CapEx. That's investment in things like AI and other technologies. So that's really what's driving the economy. The labor market is not great. We learned after the fact that the Biden job machine really didn't work very well, that we had about 2 million downward revisions over 2 years. That's a huge number. Yeah. So the economy is doing well thanks to President Trump. We need to get the labor market turning higher. Unfortunately, the shutdown is hurting a lot, actually, and that's a factor that we're concerned about. But the long-term outlook under President Trump is excellent.
It's great.
So Charlie was one of the things he would talk about repeatedly over the last few months, he talked about the future of young people in America, because there's a lot of extremism among young people. We've seen polls even after Charlie's death that show a shockingly high share of especially those on the left among those under 40 support overt political violence. And he would talk about this choice between MAGA and Mangioneism. Luigi Mangione, the guy who shot the healthcare CEO. And he would basically say you need to give young people a stake in the economy, a sense that they have ownership of things, or they'll become really politically radical. One of his big passions was you need to have young people be owning homes. We've seen, I think in the 1980s, the average first-time home buyer was about 29 years old. That's grown to 38. It's gone up almost 4 or 5 years just since COVID, I believe. And he was very concerned with that what can we do to make it so young people are buying into the system rather than feeling hopeless and atomized. And I was wondering if you have any thoughts on what the Trump administration can do along that dimension to especially uplift the youngest Americans who are otherwise at risk of getting really radicalized.
Charlie's exactly right, and the Treasury Secretary recently highlighted the fact that we have a housing affordability crisis, to Charlie's points that he was making so eloquently. One of the things you can do certainly is get inflation down, because under the prior administration, inflation ran at a near 5% annual rate. That's the highest since the inflationary 70s. When you have high inflation, you have high interest rates. Under President Trump, he's been able to get inflation rate down substantially. That's allowed blue-collar wages to expand and to grow quite significantly, and also allowed interest rates to decline. So you look right now at U.S. interest rates, the 10-year yield, the benchmark borrowing rate for mortgages and for corporate borrowers is around 4%. So that's very positive, and that will eventually pull mortgage rates down because inflation's declining, and all the investment that I talked about that President Trump is getting going in the economy, that will increase the economy's ability to produce goods and services, which will further lower inflation. So mortgage rates can't come down further. The administration is also working on things to try to expedite the permitting process, trying to lower some of the costs. Things like that will help, no question, because as you said, young people need to have a skin in the game, need to have a stake in the outcome, and feel like they're not disillusioned. So Charlie was exactly right about that. It will take time to undo the policies we had under the prior administration, but we are optimistic that as the cost of living goes down and as worker wages rise, you'll get more young people being able to go into the home market and be able to buy, get affordability higher, and things will turn. It'll take some time, but things will turn.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.